So it's an interesting time, obviously, that we're living in. And some people say, well, that's probably been said throughout history. But no, it hasn't. It hasn't always been interesting. Sometimes things are kind of status quo and so on, but it's an interesting time. And as a spiritual teacher, especially one that really, my focus is all about Christ consciousness. And it's always been, thank God. You know, I've dug that, and lifetimes of that. I mean, I just understand that getting back to God is the essential. Just our direct connection with God. And it doesn't mean don't listen to a teacher, don't read a book, it just, all of it needs to get us closer to God. Everything else is just kind of a waste of time, really. And mystics have tried to explain that and so on. And you know, but not everybody wants to listen to the mystics of past because they were so serious about their work that it seems like, well, they're so serious, they're so connected, it seems distanced from us, the average person. But the time we live in, all veils are falling apart. But when veils fall apart, people freak out at first. Look at the way bugs react when you pull the rock off of their home. You know, like, they'll just freak. So that's what happens when people start to look at their addictions. It's like, oh, I didn't want to look at that. Or, you know, hey, let's look at your relationship. Oh, no. You know, everybody, you know, it's like when the lights come up at the end of an evening in a bar. Everybody, oh, my God. I was about to go home with you, you know, like, what was I thinking? You know, and the same happens with spirituality. Oh, you know, have you read that? You got to read this book. This is really, and then you find out, you know, the author's a nutcase like everybody else on the planet. They have problems, you know. One minute you're going, this person, such peace and tranquility. This book is really moving me. And then you see some website and they're on there going, I hate the politicians of today, you know, and they're like totally different. 1 minute, peace, love, you know, peace, love, Bobby Sherman, you know, and the next minute, and then we used to say that in high school, I don't know why, peace, love, and Bobby Sherman, you know, but anyway, and yet the teachers in their day-to-day lives, you find out they do freakouts, you know, on the internet because somebody won an election, somebody lost it, and everybody's nuts. Back to hatred. And I watch this and I just think, please take me home. Just country roads, take me home, you know, beam me up or something, because this place is just the asylum of the universe. You know, Earth. You know, and Jesus and the apostles, if you can make it here, you can make it anywhere. Planet Earth. You know. You know, so it's just such a strange place. And there's people that isolate, no, we're especially strange. We're especially depressed. Being on earth is depressing. It's because we're not in Kansas anymore. Dorothy, you know, Toto, there's a problem. And those who get an idea that there's a problem either crash, take their own lives, go into depression. I don't blame them at all. This place is really messed up. And then the others, another group, they just choose to wake up. The Buddhas and so forth, that just go, wait, there's something wrong with this picture. And I think it's amazing. But to see that there's something wrong and still survive, that's really unique. Because it's so easy to want to dissociate from such a messed up place. It's so easy to just want to drift off and dissociate. You're in a relationship, but you're drifted, you know, and people are in relationships that are not really into. They go to jobs, and everybody becomes automatons, you know. It's just like just barely making it through. They have to have the drink. And we wonder, you know, addictions, why they're so rampant. Because the world is, like A Course in Miracles says, because of the pain that kind of cries out from this world that we're creating but do not want. So even though this is happening, this world is being created, there's a part of us that gets it and doesn't like this world. And that's called conflict. So we have anxiety disorders, but Don't talk about it, just take this. And then you take that, and look what the stuff does to you. May cause blindness and arms to pop off. It's like they have these little things, ads at the end of it, and they show people looking happy to distract you. I now take this, I'm happier, and then they have these comments, wow, and people still do it because we live in this strange asylum. And God, on the other hand, is holding this perfect vision of us. The same as chaplains are supposed to hold a vision and parents are supposed to hold a vision that despite the way things look, somehow everything's okay. Really? Have you looked lately? Seriously? I used to be able to believe that, but this is especially messed up this time. God unfazed. You are and remain as I created you. Perfect light. When we say that we're great as God created us, we don't mean, some people will go, yes, I just love you as you are. We don't mean that kind of placating, I'm going to be patient with you even though you're messed up and I'm going to love you anyway. That's a human interpretation. God doesn't actually see all the stuff that we try to love each other for. I'm going to love you even though you're ill. God sees no illness. I'm going to love you even though you're angry, sad. God doesn't even see any of that. In us, there is a light that is unmoved by any of it. There is a perfect light of God centered in our being. It has no color, no gender, no age. It's incapable of anything that humans themselves experience. Now, we can go, that sounds really beautiful. It is beautiful, but people are so identified with their interpretations of themselves, it's quite distracting, but quite inconvenient for people to be asked to let go of their interpretations of themselves. You can say, Lord, I get it. I have this dysfunction. I would like you to take it from me. What we don't know is unconsciously, subconsciously, we have this list of conditions. Take this from me, but make sure it fits within this. And that could be take this addiction, but don't take my friends. But your friends are all addicts and they keep giving you your addiction. No, don't, find another way. Don't let this happen. And help my relationship, but make sure they don't leave. I don't want to be alone. There's all these fear-based projections that we put out there, and God's like, wow, you guys are just strange. You're asking for help, and you counter it with your own answers and limitations. So how much help do you really want? So in a sense, at first God might have been, how can I help? And people say, God, the people of Israel, they used to commune with God. I mean, Melchizedek or Abraham, look at these communications they had. What happened? Well, here's what happened. By the time somebody asks for something, they already have a list of reasons to not have it. So God doesn't even have to listen anymore. I'm not saying literally. God just sits back and says, well, I'll just wait till you people make up your mind. Because you want and then you don't want. It's about let thine eye be single. When you really know who you are and what you're looking for, fine, let me know. But I'll wait for you to get over your bipolar behaviors. You go up and you go down and you're all around. Just, what do you want? Well, I want this, but I want that. And counter, and counter, and counter. We're moving into an auspicious time of the year. The end of the year. And it's symbolic of endings. Now is a really good time to start evaluating your life. So we come upon, and I think it's so amazing that mankind happens to have created things the way they are right now, in terms of the holidays. So you come upon Halloween. Now is the time to look at the ghosts in the closet that you have. All of your ghost skeletons in the closet, the ghosts, all the creepy things under the bed and wherever else you may have them, in the head, obviously. Find all the creepy things. Let all the ghouls and goblins out. Stop dating them, by the way, but let all the ghouls and goblins out. Why? Because you're going to move into Thanksgiving. But don't move into Thanksgiving and not own the things that you're not so grateful for, the things that are skeletons in the closet, all the ghosts. Get all the ghouls and goblins. Come on, bring them out. No, we got to be careful. Look at Halloween. It's all the, all the freaky outfits and all that. That's not a holiday, it's us. It's a mirror of ourselves. There's a scary outfit, there's a creepy this, and they're all parts of ourselves. There's nothing outside of us. Everything is a reflection. It's a hologram of our inner self. And so, okay, got it. We go out on Halloween. Well, wow, that's not me. No way. It's all us. They all reflect parts of us. Scary outfits could represent our fears, and intimidating outfits could represent old father issues or whatever. There's all these things, and they're magnified. But this whole world magnifies things. That's what it does. It magnifies. And people say, I don't like this happening or that happening. It's really kind of a bummer, because the way the ego has veiled our eyes, the way it has obscured our ability to see, keeps people from waking up. But if we could really see, there's an entirely different experience waiting. And people would start taking more responsibility. They would, not just because the heavy burden of responsibility, that's one level that people are intimidated at, but I'm talking about really getting it and going, okay, wait, this whole thing is a hologram. And if I asked you folks right here, is there an issue that you're struggling with that, you work on it, it still keeps appearing? Or have you had anything happen this year that surprised you? It showed up, you didn't know, that you still had that much fear, anger, whatever it is. Probably the last election would have, freaked out some people to look at how much they still had stuff to react to. Don't be afraid of that, and don't blame politicians. It brought your stuff up. That's a good thing to be grateful for. No, people don't usually say that. I got to send a card to people who trigger me. It is Christmas after all. That's not usually the way people are processing. They look at, they scratch names, They're not getting a card this year. You should send them two, But at the same time, this world is a hologram, but it's not just a hologram, it's a magnified hologram. Which means the stuff that you're frustrated with, you're still dealing with. That person showed up and, oh my God, they triggered me. I can't believe how much I reacted to the election. I can't believe how much I reacted to this post that went online or whatever it happens to be. You get upset, but the truth is, you should be a little shocked, and you should be a little dismayed, only in the sense that you catch on and go, oh, that was a good one. Wow, that caught me off guard. That's all. Just own it. Sit back and go, wow, that snuck up on me. Good one, okay? But you can say, and I can't believe that I reacted that much to that thing. But the thing is, it was a huge issue. This was so-and-so coming back into my life, and I never wanted to see them again. But the good news is that every one of these triggers that still gets you is a magnifying glass. They're not actually as profoundly huge of an issue as you think they are. You can have one little speck, and quantum science has proven this. One little speck of an issue, when light is beamed through it on a screen, still looks huge. One little frame of film, when you shoot light through a projector onto the screen, still fills the screen. And what happens is we look at the screen of life and go, oh my God, this issue of mine. Spirit's going, oh man, you almost got it. It was only this big, honey. It was only this big. And you allowed the look of it, the appearance, which is why mystics and masters throughout time on every continent have said, stop believing what your eyes tell you. Well, I have to. There it is. And yet, all it is a psychosis. All of us. It's a psychosis. You think you're seeing something that's not even there. First of all, it's a screen. No, it's not. It's real. It's three-dimensional. Just because it's three-dimensional doesn't mean it's not a screen. It's a three-dimensional screen. And it's projecting out for you to see these little issues that aren't really big. You're much bigger than them. No, I'm this big and the screen is that big. You're judging things by the illusion that they project to you. Poor thing. And then you die and you get to the other side and you go, oh, you're kidding me. I should have got that. And then you're like, okay, send me back in. Seriously, send me back in. You can give me the same parents and everything. And that one major jerk, I'm going to marry them. I'm going to marry them. I'm going in, I'm ready to work on all my issues, you know? And then you start going in, you're like, I'm totally ready, you know, totally ready, head first, you know? And you're going into this, you're going in, you're supposed to be going in, crowning, head first. And then, as it's happening, they start going, by the way, you won't remember any of this. Flip, feet first on the pelvis. No, I'm not going. They're like, we got to get the baby reversed. I'm not going. No, you didn't tell me that I'm going to forget. Amnesia. And then we come in and just, you know, crying, upset, scared, and oh, poor thing. But that's this world. Because it's an illusion. It really doesn't have power. And I know that some of the projections are they're just terrible in this dimension. They're terrible. The things we say, the things we do to each other are absolutely ludicrous. However, they actually don't have power over us. It's still a screen. You're allowed to sit in the theater screaming, you're allowed. You're allowed to be terrified. You're allowed to shake. You're allowed to, oh my God, you know, and have all those reactions in the theater. You're allowed to, look at love scenes and, I wish that were me. You're allowed to respond is our free will. But it's still a screen. The person on the screen doesn't hold your heart like you think they do. The person on the screen doesn't have power to actually creep up on you and hurt you the way you think. The response is just an illusion. So the mystics are saying, you got to learn to see this for what it really is. So throughout history, people have tried to see it. Some, mystics, they worked on it and they saw it, and some had epiphanies and so on and so on. Males, females throughout history and all continents. However, there's also a person, Jesus, said, I completely woke up. I didn't wake up just regionally, racially, nationally. I woke up universally. I am God now. I'm one with God. What once was done through mythologies, there once was this God, and he came from Olympus, and what was once a mythology, he actually came in and lived it. He completely woke up, and he says, and I'm a part of you, and you're a part of me, which means if I woke up, part of you woke up. So now, instead of your ego only projecting through slides, fear-based stuff, ego-based stuff, separation from God and from each other, onto the screen and letting it manifest in ways that terrify you, what I'm going to do is let you know there's also now a slide inside called Christ consciousness. Start letting your consciousness light shoot through that slide onto the screen, and it'll change your life. Christians call it accepting Jesus as their Savior, but it becomes just lip service rather than consciousness. It's got to become a consciousness. So, this is essentially, Jesus is the embodiment not just of a consciousness of awakening. He's also the embodiment of what we call the Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit is the Divine Mother. So one of the things that Jesus demonstrates, and as we're moving into the holidays, going towards Christmas, that's the birthing of Christ. It's time for you and I to birth the Christ again. Or is it just another Christmas on another year in another lifetime, and we'll just keep doing this forever? Don't lose the significance of this. You can birth the Christ any second of any day, but definitely as a personal ritual. Do not be sleeping when we go through this time. Let this holiday season, get out all the ghosts and goblins now. Talk it out. Do your inventory. All the freaky stuff, all the shames, all the yucky pieces, the addictions, even the hatreds and angers. Get it. Put it on paper. There are some things I don't want to think about or know. You already do. You just don't want to see it. But that doesn't make it go away. Get it out. Get it out. And we think we've been programmed to believe that those things are so scary we should hide them. And the ego's going, yes, because if you hide them, they're just tapes and films inside of our consciousness that on a convenient moment the ego will flash up onto the screen, put a light through it, and boom, oh, there's that. And then we react to it. When you react to it, it becomes real to you. And then you better hide it again. And so we live in this constant cycling of fear. And all of us, the real us, the spirit in us, and heaven itself is waiting for somebody to do it differently and say, hold it, wait. Despite what I think I see, I'm ready to see things through God's eyes. I'm ready to experience and live through God's eyes. And how do you do that? Oh, you got to make sure you sit down and do X amount of hours of meditation per day, Om Mani Padme and Boom Shakalaka and so on, on one foot, eyes to the center of the head. And on the other side, they're like, wow, and Jesus is like, and God's like, I know, just let him. I'm not going to do that again. I know. Give it time. I think sometimes the apostles on the, picture the apostles on the other side just going, we got it. We devoted to this thing. You guys, too bad. And, you just imagine them making faces on the other side. And then Jesus, for jokes, would part the veil, open the veil between two worlds, just as the apostles are on the other side, and then they got to look all serious. Don't do that. Jesus, what's wrong with you? So Halloween, get all the stuff out. Get all the stuff out, because it's not actually like we were told. Confession. Confess your sins. Okay, dear Father who has more sins than I would like to confess my sinfulness. And everybody keeps all these secrets. Just stop. That's not God. There's no person that's better than you that you let them out to. Everybody's got stuff. But not everybody does this and says, here I am. This great statement, Yogananda, just stand there and open it up and say, here I am. And expose it all, like here I am. And when you do, the light shines on it. When light shines, there's just no darkness. The light doesn't actually you don't start sizzling like in a sci-fi movie. Here I am, God, and I'm melting. It doesn't happen like that. You just go boom, and all of a sudden there's no darkness. I was hiding these naughty thoughts. Oh, where'd they go? It really can be effortless. But we've been designed to be afraid of light more than darkness. Halloween, the creepy things, man. And they do freak us out, and they are intimidating, but only because we have hidden stuff. When people know, like you watch a horror movie, if you were the director or the cameraman or whatever in a film, the scariest horror movie, you'd be like, watching through the camera, directing, because it's makeup. It's just a game. Watch the movie, and, people watch Jaws, and they couldn't go in swimming pools, as though there was actually a giant shark that's navigating the pipes of your swimming, and you knew it was coming to your swimming pool. There were people afraid to go in water. Swimming pool, think about it. But it was an archetype in the movie that's being accessed. It's a collective belief system. And then that music. And that's this world. It's just a game. It's just an illusion. But if you realize you're the director and you take responsibility and say, there cannot be any monsters other than the ones that I allow. And they don't have power unless I allow it. So Jesus was trying to explain 2,000 years ago. Imagine this, 2,000 years ago, and a few hundred years before. Lao Tzu, Buddha, Socrates, Pythagoras, Plato, Jesus. What an amazing time. And they all left us with consciousness. Get it. And Jesus, above all, I got it completely. So come on, guys, get it. And people are afraid to go in a swimming pool. Because a shark, which doesn't usually find itself attracted to chlorinated water, is going to make it through your pipes into your swimming pool. There's something wrong with people. And we have fears that we don't want to own. So look at them now during this season. And then you can say, okay, and also the bidding farewell to the dead. What can I learn from this? What can I learn from this ghost, from this death, this divorce, this ending of a job? They're all deaths. Now, Halloween time, to the ghosts, to the deaths, to my fears and whatever, all of it. I get it. And bid farewell. All Saints' Day, bid farewell. Be prepared, because when I bid farewell, I'm cleaner, clearer, and I have new epiphanies. I have new epiphanies because I made room for new epiphanies. I'm not obsessed on only my stuff. What else might happen and fears and whatever? No. I feel clearer. When I make space, all of a sudden, new things start coming in. Particularly based on the stuff I let go of, my divorce, my this, and loss of a job. Thanksgiving is now time to say thank you for what I learned from these experiences. And don't let pseudo-spiritual teachers talk you into, you need to be grateful for everything. Yeah, but I was abused. Well, we don't understand those things, so just give thanks. No. Never give a gratitude. Never give thanks for the Holocaust or slavery or people abusing you. Well, but it brought me to where I am today. No, it didn't. Well, who taught you that? There's people out there that you're actually going to tell them, see, without oppression or abuse, you would not be who you are today. Who told you that? God created you as part of God. What makes you think you have to go through hell to get to heaven? There is also just heaven. Just have heaven. I'll get there in a minute. I got to go through hell first. It doesn't make any sense, but that's people for you. So don't give thanks for hurtfulness. Give thanks for what you learned from it. That's all you need to do. This wasn't very cool, but what did I get? Oh, got it. Thank you. What you learned, that's empowering. Don't give thanks for hurtful behaviors. Then you're saying and affirming, we need that. I grew thanks to that. My parents or whomever were completely messed up and abusive, but I'm going to give thanks for that. It's another way that the ego is getting us to lock in the value of hurtfulness. And there is no value. None. Because in God, there is no hurtfulness, and all I care about is God. Bid farewell. Thank you, what I learned. Now, I don't mean in a judgmental, like I learned not to trust men. That's not a thing you want to give thanks for, some negative. It's I learned that I really have more value than I thought. I learned that I don't need to be dependent on a drug. What I learned, talk about you responsibly, that's Thanksgiving. And we're just about there, Thanksgiving. Get out the ghouls and goblins, do all that, then give thanks what you learned from what died, who and what has died or is dying. Give thanks for what you learned from that and from them. Give them value that they don't even sometimes know that they have. And then Thanksgiving, right? Cool. Now that I've given thanks for what I've learned, I'm really open and clear. For what? To be birthed into a new life. Christ consciousness. It doesn't even matter if you believe in Christmas. Choose a different day. Do what you need to do, but allow the Christ to be birthed. And when the Christ is birthed, it's not Mary, a woman, a girl, giving birth to a baby. It's the Holy Spirit of God, which is the divine mother, not just Mary, the divine mother giving birth not to just Jesus, but Christ in you. And you celebrate that. And then you go, that's it. So the whole tree and the gifts under the tree, those are the gifts of God. And when I'm going to get Christmas presents, it's presents. Consciousness. Christmas. Christ's presents. Did you get any Christmas gifts? No, I got Christ presents. Whoa, cool. Yeah, birthing the new me. This is great. And I'm not saying you have to pronounce it. I'm not saying you have to, go to your family for Christmas and walk in and go, whoa. I know you were expecting your relative, but it just so happens I'm the Christ, I don't think they're going to like that. Although in their own way, my family got it about half of 1%. Facetiously. My dad would say, is the anointed one coming for Christmas this year? I sent back a message, heal thyself, you know. But it's true, he used to say that. But then I would arrive and he'd say, would you do that weird stuff you do? Because I have some neck issues, you know. Would you? No. You know, it was always tempting to say things like that, you know. So Christmas, and then what do you think the point of that is? To start a new year, guys. Meaning any of us, I don't want next year to look like this year. And I don't want my next relationship to look like yesterday's. And parenting, finances, all categories. And what we do is we approach it, some of us just blindly move into the next year expecting it to be different. Doing nothing different, but expecting it to be different. That's the majority of the human race. There's a small minority that say, wait, I'm going to do a New Year's resolution, and then not keep it. But they'll get at least some inkling of a New Year's resolution prepared for possibly having a new life, and it doesn't work out. Really very few, and it can be all of us in this room and watching online, very few choose to say, I get it. I'm not going to just gratuitously say, I'm going to have a new year. If I get a new calendar, it's going to change my life because it'll be a whole new year. Having a new calendar with a new year on it doesn't change your life. What are you doing? Every January, every December, for many, many years now, you know, I invite, if people want to come by, friends, they want to come over. But what we're doing is making a list of what we're letting go of. This year I got ambitious and did it last month. I was so looking forward to letting go of certain things that were stuck, blocked, dead, you know, that I was still trying to resuscitate, you know. And it's just, there's a point where, you know, you got to go, this job, if I don't let it go, it's going to let go of me. I'm still doing CPR in a relationship, you know. Oh, come on, you can do it. And they're dead. It's just a corpse of a relationship. And you're still trying to do CPR. Rigor mortis is setting, and you're still doing CPR. You got to own it. This is dead. This is gone. There's family members that don't want to talk to you, and you even trying to be loving, they just get more irritated. You better just say, I'm going to let that go. This world is not our home, but we can experience home here. There are people that are free, that are imprisoned in their mind, and they still complain all the time. Oppression and duality and fight, everything's a problem. You got to watch for, you got to speak up for yourself. You got to, you know, and there's a lot of that in the world. Women ought to watch out and fight, and that wasn't Jesus. That wasn't Lao Tzu. That wasn't Mother Teresa. It wasn't anybody that was ever actually enlightened telling you to start fighting things. Resist not evil. But what about the, you know, and taxes? And Jesus said, you're here, and if you have taxes, pay the dang things. And don't let it affect you. Play the game. But what if you have a cold? Sleep. Rest. You should fight that cold. You should show it that you're boss. Then there's an it that you're fighting. Learn to demonstrate to this world as you go into a new year. This coming year, man, I'm not going to be the reactive one. I'm not going to deny that I feel reactions, but I'll look at them and I'll give them to God. Because I want my problems to go up to God. I want my reactions to go to God. I want all my beliefs to go to God. And not just give them up, replace them with something new. God, how would you have me see this? And you don't always get cured from it. You're asking God not to rescue you from your problems. Dear Jesus and all the apostles and saints in heaven, please change the politicians. Please fix the church and so on. They don't hear that. They can't hear any of that because you're asking them to fix something that's our own projections. They're instead saying, why don't you ask about changing your heart, how you see these things? Would you be willing and courageous enough to go there? Would you ask us to change how you see things rather than the things you see? Because that's consciousness. The screen, why would you ask us to change the screen? Stop projecting onto the screen and it'll be clear. So why don't we deal with the guy in the projector room who's choosing horror movies? Let's change your consciousness. So use this holiday season, auspicious time. Use it for changing consciousness. Don't just do it again. And you might forget tomorrow what you're hearing today. I would get a calendar out and write it in there. I would make it a program. I'm going to prepare for the launch of a new year. How? Oh, I don't know. I'm just going to sit here and wait for it. No, that's not mastery. What are you going to do? You better let the old die before you expect a new to come in. And the more room you make, the more room that'll be filled. You'll be changed more by letting more go. It's very proportionate. How much are you willing to let go of? And I don't mean you just go out there and just strip everything down like for the heck of it. I'm talking about taking evaluation. What is dead, dying, not working? What is not resonating with joy? What would you like in the next year? Oh, God, I would love, and come up with a mantra, your love and self-worth, peace and happiness, whatever you like. Find the words that most symbolize God to you and be prepared to create it. How? First, by making a list of what doesn't resonate with it. What is not joyous? What's your word going to be? Peace, happiness? Would those work for any of you guys? Peace, joy, happiness? Great. So before you expect those, I just wish I had more peace and happiness. You know, I have a partner and they're not into peace and happiness. I wish they were in. I wish we had a president that was in peace and happiness. Forget it. You. Find out what's in your life that's not resonating with peace and happiness and start thinking about why it's there and what you can do to say goodbye to it. And watch your emotions about saying goodbye to it. Because even if you can flippantly just get rid of it, you still weren't in touch with the process. Get in touch. Make it a conscious ritual, a conscious ceremony. Make your list and start saying goodbye to things. I made a list of a couple dozen things. I did it last month, and 20 of them were gone in hours or days. 20, for me, that was big, man. 20, because I don't have that much extraneous stuff in my life. But I came up with, let's just go nuts. Let's just find anything. People, everything, boom, on my list. And you think, okay, goodbye. Okay, wait, no. I'm going to write each one on a piece of paper, light it, put it in a burning bowl, so that it's more conscious instead of bye, goodbye, goodbye, goodbye. Just, conscious. Let me put each one on a piece of paper, found a little piece of paper, and wrote one at a time. And you go, okay. And I'm going to do this with consciousness. So I light one and into the bowl, and so on, right? And it kind of went nicely. But what I used were Post-its. So it was kind of ironic as I'm dropping each thing that I'm ready to release, and it was sticking to my finger. What was worse is they were on fire. I swear to God. I'm like, no, And then what do? Oh my gosh, that's terrible. But you laugh. Isn't that funny, man? I'm ready to let go of stuff, and it's sticking. That's great. You laugh at it. See it for what it is and let go of that. You can even write on another piece of sticky notes, And that you learn from. That even as I go to release things, look how they try to stick. Not today. And burn. I see it. I see the game. Don't turn it into a judgment. Say goodbye. So all of these things, using the holidays to say goodbye. Get conscious for this holiday season. Things that are not resonating, things that are not working. I know some of you have driven hours and hours to get here, to hear this and watch this today, and God bless you for that, because it demonstrates your commitment to awakening. Some of you could live next door and come here. It still could mean there's a real commitment. I wanted to hear this today. And if you heard, there's this talk going on today. It's not an accident you're in this room, even if you think, this was the lamest talk I've ever heard. You know what? There's also a part of you that said, yeah, but we dragged you here because you're supposed to hear this. You can stay unconscious and say, no, but you're not going to wake up. But part of you wants you to wake up, and that's why it got you here. So look at that part. Look at the whiny, frustrated, annoyed part that doesn't like the talk. Look at it. What's that about? Well, this is expecting me to give up old programs. I'm 15th generation rude. I'm not letting this go. It's worth looking at. Look at it all, guys, and let it die. It's not too late, even though Halloween's gone. Just do it. You could do it next June if you want. But we're in an auspicious time, but also because more of us today, we heard several of us are hearing this, we can do it as a group. Not necessarily in the same room, But the more of us that do things like this as a wave, it creates a wave. A wave. Instead of a pebble, it's a boulder going in the water, creating waves to the world. So that we're saying to people, and you can put it on your own little online things, and you're going to find new people that don't like you. If you say, you know, I'm just about not reacting to this stuff anymore. How dare you? I thought you were part of our hate groups. We don't like you. Okay, wait, let me get you on my list of things to say goodbye to. You know, adios, bye. And don't sweat it. But that was one of my friends, and they were old friends and long-term friends. Go ahead, get it out. Cry, but, you know, go ahead, get it all out. You're afraid, and now you've got rid of somebody that, you know, was an old friend, or they were a family friend, or all this connection. We have past lives together. You should have let go of them then, too. Get it all out, and when you're done, cry if you need to, and scream into a pillow if you need to. But at the end, the truth is still the truth. What do you want? If you want next year your keyword to be annoyed, there are people that fit into that. But if you say you want peace and happiness, don't be a hypocrite. Don't say you want peace and happiness and then not live it. I want to have peace and happiness. Great, what does it look like? And then start living it. People, jobs, things that don't resonate. I don't mean put in notice on tomorrow, Monday. I'm saying put in notice in here. And if you think it's going to take you a little while, there's one last thing I want to share. If you think it's going to take you a while, you better do this. Give me a minute. Because as soon as you start doing things with more consciousness, things start happening. So if you start to go, I recognize I really don't like this relationship has a problem. Go and take it to the person and say, would you like to join me in healing this relationship? Don't give up on it necessarily, but see if there's going to be some work. See if anybody wants to join you. Friends that say no thanks, partners that say no thanks, your kids that say no thanks, your parents that say no thanks, your ego that says no thanks. See you later. I mean, that's fine. Bid farewell. You can be sad about that and angry about that, but there's a new life waiting. So Lazarus, get up. No, I don't want to get up. I'm dead. I'm in the tomb. What do you mean you're dead? Get up, Lazarus, and you got to say that to yourself. Knock it off. Get up. No, I want to stay in pain. Get up. You're allowed to stay dead when you get crucified in this world, but you are asked to resurrect. It is an option. Resurrection, coming out of the dark night of the soul, that's resurrection. Resurrection coming, out of the tomb, that's resurrection. Out of a relationship, out of a divorce, with new hope, that's all resurrection. And if all you do is talk about yesterday and what people did to you, or religious oppression, racial oppression, gender oppression, you're actually still affirming oppression, or whatever the word might be for you. Anger, hurt, sadness. You're still that. You are that thing. That's okay, but that's called crucifixion. I think I'm ready to be part of the resurrection. I'm not sure exactly what that looks like, but I get an idea. It feels pretty good. I'm ready to live again. Don't come out and live again the way you already lived, because that was the living dead. You need to come out and say, I'm ready to be filled with the waters of life. I'm not exactly sure what that'll look like, but according to truth, it means the presence of God living in me as me. Prosperity isn't something I have to try to manufacture. It's like today we're doing this workshop on consciousness and prosperity. But it's not about how to make things happen like prosperity. You got to connect with God and co-create a new life. So all this is connected. Crucifixion, Halloween and so on, resurrection. Give thanks and Christmas so that you can have your ascension into a new year. And that's the next year. Next year should look different than this year, which should have looked different from last year. If you feel tired, fatigued, bored, you're living dead. And you have the right to come out of that. But it does have to come from you. If you think you're waiting for family to say sorry for the way they treat you, that may not happen. If you're still waiting for the government to say, we're really sorry the way we treated you, that may not happen. I would go here and allow yourself to let yourself off the hook. Make sense? All right. Let's take a few centering breaths. setting aside all the stuff of the world. We have and we own that we have been so faithless. Whenever we've obsessed on duality and hurt and hate, when we obsess on and it is ridiculous stuff on this planet, but when we obsess, when we think about being a person that illness can get this body, then you're making yourself a victim of illness. You're greater than that. There is no racial stuff, gender stuff, political stuff, or anything that has power over us. So I'm owning that that means I lacked faith. When I thought that I could be a person that others could hurt, it meant I was forgetting who I really am. You got to be courageous. Be courageous. All of a sudden, it isn't the gender or the color that made people courageous. Martin Luther King can come out and say, I don't care what you people think, I'm going to still speak the truth. And it didn't matter what color he was. He just talked the truth. And the world doesn't like that. When Mother Teresa went into disease-ridden areas, she didn't just sit there and hope that she didn't get sick. She did it because it was the right thing. And it wasn't her gender that made her unique. So you're a screenwriter, you're a mom, you're whatever things on this planet. But more and more, I am this with the light of God filling me. So today, that's what I'm looking for. How can I become more of the presence of God in day-to-day life? First, by bidding farewell to that which I am not. Not that which I wish that I were not. I truly am not. So can we be courageous enough right now? Look at the world, just objectively, look at the world and see the stuff that goes on. It is ridiculous. But there is economic conflict, racial conflict, gender conflict, political conflict, military. Just look at it all for a moment. And if I were asked everybody to take a moment of silence and pray for it to all be healed, you guys would actually do it. But don't. Instead, turn and look at yourself. In what ways am I holding conflict over race, political affiliation, gender, and so on? In what ways do I have anger? Because war can't exist without feeding off of our collective anger. In what ways am I angry, sad, hurt, jealous? In what ways am I still acting like a victim? Just be honest about it and do an inventory. We ask you, Holy Spirit, Mother, Mother of God, Divine Mother, we ask you to help us see these things. Reveal them to us. Show them to us. Where do I still have conflict? And so on. This is my contribution to all the stuff like that in this world. Past, present, and future. I have contributed to these problems. Instead of thinking I'm perfect, wishing the others would get it right, I get it. I have played a part, and I'm giving this to you, God. I see it, own it, and I'm giving it all to you. And it's lifted to the heavens. But watch, don't cling to it. Watch. Watch for the yeah, but, and fears. Just keep letting it be surrendered and go. Controlling our kids and wishing they were more like this or that. Let it all go and be lifted. New things and ideas will come to your mind. Let it go too. All lifted up and out. And then we remain emptied to a new level. And I affirm that I learn anything I can learn from any of this. I can see my frailties, my conditions on love and so on. That's what I'm going to give thanks for. I'm going to give thanks from whatever I may have learned from any of this. Known and unknown lessons that I've learned. Oh, okay, these things don't have the power they once had. And I'm grateful for that. Now I'm ready for Christmas. Now I'm ready in this moment. Mother, Divine Mother, only you can do it. Birth in me the Christ. Teach me how the divine feminine in me can be pregnant with the Christ. Let that be there and present, and let it be birthed and start coming forward. Let the Christ that was in Jesus be in me as well. Rising to new levels of awareness, my awareness. Rising and rising. Lifting my way, my consciousness. Lifting me to a new way of living. And I'm moving into a new year with this new consciousness. God, I am that I am. And my heart is so deeply grateful that I too can experience this. But if I try to keep it, lock it away as some special consciousness I have and nobody else has, then I'll lose it. So I close by affirming that I will bring this to the world in every way I can. Guide me, Divine Mother, how to be the Christ a bit more at work, a bit more around family, a bit more in my relations, even if the relations end. Help me to do that in a Christy way. Help me to be the presence of God. I am as God created me. I will to be the Christ on earth. God is, I am, we are, and so it is. And just, if you can, another 10 seconds or so, just breathing and anchoring that as a permanent part of your consciousness. Give that a few seconds.